Welcome to the tutorial on how an IUP can raise their own travel request using the Umoja self-service functionality. As an IUP, you can only raise travel requests for within mission trips where no commercial ticket is required. For any other trip scenario, you should contact your travel administrator who will raise the travel request on your behalf. If you would like to practice this particular exercise in the training environment, please view the video tutorial on how to log into the Umoja training environment. If you need help accessing the Umoja portal, please view the tutorial on how to log into the Umoja portal. Although the steps you will see today are performed in the training environment, you will be performing the same steps in the Umoja portal to raise a travel request. So once you're in production, the screen will be very similar to the one you see now in this tutorial. The first thing we'll do is click on the Traveler Work Center link. This is the link we will be clicking to raise our travel request. Once we select it, the new screen will take a little while to load, but once it does, you will be able to select the link here, Create Travel Request. If you click on the arrow, you'll have only one option, that is to create your own travel request. In your Traveler Work Center screen, you'll be able to find all your travel requests, even those raised on your behalf. This screen is of key importance when checking the current status of any particular travel request. So the first thing we'll do is click on Create Official Travel. Once we have clicked on Create Official Travel, we'll see the next screen already gives us some information, some basic information on who is raising this travel request. Also below it, there's a timeline of the steps that we are in right now. Step 1. Moving on to Step 2, General Data. So whatever step you're on will be highlighted in yellow as seen here in the tutorial. One of the first things we will do in this screen is here. Choose the type of travel from the drop-down menu and click the General Data button to continue. We see here the travel category is Official Travel. Under the drop-down menu for Traveler Type, we only have one option. For any other travel type, you have to contact your travel administrator. For example, if you're traveling out of mission area, the travel administrator will have to raise the travel request on your behalf. The only option available for IUPs with ESS is the one we see on screen now, Within Mission DFS. That's the one we will select. The next thing we will do on this screen is click on the checkbox here, which is the one that reads, My supervisor has agreed to my travel and approved any applicable leave. Make sure that is checked, as an IUP should have discussed with his or her supervisor offline, which means out of Umoja, before submitting the travel request. Once you have selected your travel type and clicked on the checkmark, you are okay to now click on the General Data button. Now, once we have clicked on the button General Data, it'll take us to the following screen. As you can see now, the timeline has changed, and the highlighted in yellow number is the number 2, General Data. We have already finished with the first part, which is Start, and now we're in number 2, which is General Data. If you scroll down, you will see the following fields that you will have to populate in the basic details. The traveler type, see, is marked here as non-staff, number of travelers 1. The journey type you will be selecting, if you click on the drop-down menu, depends on, of course, your itinerary. Could be one way, round trip, or multiple destinations. For the sake of this tutorial, we're selecting round trip. Now, once we have selected round trip, we can also state the travel purpose. Again, for this particular scenario, we are writing the following: review security reports in mission region. Now, of course, you would write your own travel purpose when raising your own travel request. The following key fields are work start date and time and work end date and time. The work start date and time indicates the day and time you have to report on duty at destination, which would mean, for example, I have to report on duty at destination on the 30th of April, in this case, 2018. We can either type it as I have just done, or we can also select it from this box here where the calendar appears and just click on the date itself. We can also write the time. In this case, we'll just keep 9 a.m. We do the same thing for the work end date and time, which indicates the day and time you will finalize your duties at destination before returning to your duty station. In this case, we're going to actually select it from the calendar option, which in this tutorial will be the 4th of May, 5 o'clock. Perfect. So the first section here, basic details, is completely populated. And what we will do is scroll down to the next step of this tutorial, which is how to input your itinerary details when raising your travel request. Under the itinerary details section is where you should fill in your itinerary details based on your trip plan. The following serve only as an example. Again, we can select the departure date on the calendar, or we can just simply type the calendar date as such, 30.04.2018. And with the tab button, we can move on to the new fields, or we can just do it with our mouse. We can also click on the matchbox and select the departure city here, which would mean, for example, in this case, Port O. And we can just leave it like that and click on the Start Search button here. And the system will return anything similar to what we have added in this field for city. In this case, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Yes, we would select this line and then click on OK. Once we click on OK, the option should appear under our itineraries for departure city. Mode of travel. The mode of travel should be, in this case, a UN aircraft. As you can see, when we click on the drop-down menu, we have several options to select from. In this specific scenario, we are selecting UN aircraft. As a mode of travel, the system will only allow you to select non-commercial options. If your trip involves a commercial ticket, as for example an airline commercial ticket, the travel administrator will raise the travel request on your behalf. If you select UN flight as a mode of travel, do not forget to raise a separate request in FSS passenger booking system to book your seat. The next field is the arrival date. We will also write 30 of April 2018, and then the arrival city and country, which in this case, and so you see a different way of populating this field, is Genève, Haiti. You see the result loads at the bottom. All we have to do is just click on it and it loads here directly. So remember, we can either search through the matchbox or we can just type it in. Then under the applicable subsistence, for the sake of this scenario, we are selecting MSA full. Now this is very important. If you do not have a reference table of MSA rates, you should liaise with your IUP focal point or your HR partner to understand which of the options you should choose. For the sake of this tutorial, we are selecting MSA full, and that will automatically default our subsistence region to all duty stations, as we see here in the example. Now, a quick tip: if we want to add a new line that is already pre-populated, one of our best options is to click here on the last icon on the right that is called Copy Itinerary Line, as you can see below. Once you click on it, it'll give us a new line that is populated with the above information, but of course switching our departure cities. Of course, all we would have to do here is change our date, which in this case would be the 4th of May 2018, and we can move on to the departure city, which in this case would be correct, the mode of travel, which is still the same, the arrival date, we'd have to change it as well, and then the arrival city country, which in this case we can type again, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Here you go. Once it's all populated, the next field would be applicable subsistence. On the way out, DSA MSA not applicable should be the only selection, as the traveler is not entitled for subsistence on the last day. So from this drop-down menu, we will select DSA MSA not payable. Once we select that option, you see that under subsistence region, it also defaults to subsistence not applicable. Once we have filled in our itinerary details, as we have seen here in this example, we will scroll down and select personal deviation no. Remember, this tutorial is simply a guide as to what fields to populate to raise your own travel request as an IUP. Now, once we have selected personal deviation no, we will click on the additional data button. This will take us now to our third stage in our timeline, additional data, number 3, as you see highlighted at the top. Now here, and also remember, for the sake of this tutorial, we will select the following options. Are you transporting any firearm? Here we will say no. This option is critical when traveling by aircraft. And under the additional data for travel, we have several fields to either populate or to select. In this case, number of deductions can be used to modify the applicable subsistence rate for any particular day of our travel. Deductions will not be applied for this example scenario, so we will leave it as it is. Move on to the next one, which is travel advance requested, and in this case we will select no. The travel processing office. This one is defaulted by the system and cannot be changed. The next one, tickets to be issued through. Defaulted by the system as well to ticket not provided by UN. The estimated costs, the system automatically includes the MSA costs based on your itinerary. This functionality can also be used to include any other expense, for example, terminal expenses. For this scenario, we will not include any other expenses. The cost assignment field is also defaulted. Therefore, you should make no changes to this field. Once we have populated all the fields here under firearm transportation and additional data for travel, we will click on Review and Send. So after clicking on Review and Send, this is the last screen we will see right before we submit our travel request. We see our timeline here is now number 4, Review and Send, and there is a brief summary of our itinerary with dates, mode of travel, applicable subsistence, estimated cost, cost assignment. It's all summarized in one screenshot. So the last thing to do is save and send for approval. We will be clicking on this button to finalize our travel request. We see now that our travel request was saved and submitted successfully. Remember to obtain your medical and security clearances if needed prior to traveling. Your travel request is now available for review by the assigned certifying officer. Remember, you can check the status by accessing the Traveler Work Center link, which we will show in a new tutorial. Your travel request has now been fully submitted. Thank you for watching our tutorial, and don't forget to access umoja.un.org/dfs for more information. This site will be of great use for you, as if you do encounter any issues, you can access the link ESS Focal Points to find out who your ESS Focal Points are in your mission, as well as the Umoja Travel LPEs.
Voyage, voyage.